welcome to SoCal Prep Report. My name is Randy Rosalem. In a little bit, we're going to talk with Tarek. But we've been off for the summer, a little over 2 months. We're thrilled to be back. We're going to do a special 1-hour show tonight. We're going to feature a lot of football, a lot of basketball. We have coach here, Walt Fletcher. He's from Whittier Christian, his first year, taking over a CIF championship team. We have Jim Rose, speaking of champions. He's from Birmingham High School. They've won the last 3 city titles. And with him is his daughter. That figures they kind of live together, right? Jessica, his daughter, is going to be the quarterback on the flag football team and is also on the boys team, will join us as well. It's been an interesting summer. You know, I was able to cruise twice. I went to Alaska. I went to the Caribbean. I saw some great things, Niagara Falls. But my summer vacation paled in comparison to Tarek Fattal. Get the camera on Tarek, because here's what we're going to talk about. He's got a new email. He's got a new car in the family. This all in the summer.
That's true.
He's got a new job. He's no longer with the Daily News.
That's true, too.
And he's got a new baby.
That's
Congratulations,
right. That's right.
Tarek.
Baby Isla, that's right. I am now Tarek Fattal, father on SoCal Prep Report. But yeah, no, it was a very interesting summer, a very blessed summer. Honestly, very, very, very fortunate to have a healthy wife, a healthy baby, which is most important. Yes, new job, great. Got my wife a new car, a little safer, more reliable, you know, mom wagon for the baby, as I like to say. But all is good, and another year of SoCal Prep Report. Here we go.
All right, talk about the job, SB Live.
So I'm no longer with Los Angeles Daily News. I was there for 8 years, almost a decade, covering San Fernando Valley sports and beyond, and had so much fun. But Scorebook Live, came and swooped me up. So now I'm covering all of Los Angeles City section sports and all of Southern section sports. As you well know, Randy, at the Daily News, you kind of have a coverage area and more local readership, and that's no longer. I'm covering all the big bad stuff now. So, for example, I'll be at Corona Centennial Mater Dei football Friday night, and I know we'll get to that a little bit later.
Yeah, we will. All right. Let's talk about basketball. Randy, it's football season. It's starting right now. But the biggest stories over the summer had to be in hoops. And I want to start with Bronny James. We covered him at Sierra Canyon. Obviously, he had the heart failure while practicing for USC on their basketball team. And we obviously wish him the best. And fortunately, he's doing okay. We don't know about his basketball career. But for Bronny James, a setback on the basketball floor. But for goodness sakes, he's healthy, it appears.
I mean, honestly, it's fair to say healthy. He's alive. I talked to the head cardiologist at Cedars-Sinai, and people that go into cardiac arrest, most of the time, Randy, do not survive. And so for Bronny James to be alive is really a blessing. And so we don't know how it's going to impact his long-term basketball career. However, a lot of athletes or even people that want to compete at a high level after cardiac arrest, they cannot do it because you want to avoid that ever happening again. So there are people out there that go into cardiac arrest and then they have a defibrillator put inside them. That impacts athletic ability and how hard you can exert your body. So something to watch for Bronny James. But the last thing I'll say, kind of you alluded to, he's got a lot of talent. He's got a lot of following already. He could get into anything and be successful. It doesn't have to be basketball.
And obviously his dad has a lot of businesses who can help him out. But more importantly, it's about Bronny's health. It was fun covering him at Sierra Canyon. We wish him well. I don't know if I want him to play from a personal perspective. I want him to be healthy. That's the most important thing.
Well, you bring up a good point. So it's the second summer in a row USC has had a basketball player go into cardiac arrest. Vincent Iwachukwu, 7-footer, didn't play most of the season last year. However, he did return. Cardiac arrest, came back and played 14 games for the Trojans. So that could be what happens to Bronny James, and hopefully that's the case.
There's all kinds of things that could happen. He could retire from hoops. He could come back after redshirting.
No question.
He could decide, that's it. I don't ever want to get back on the court. But we thank USC and their medical staff. They did a phenomenal job reviving that young man and getting him to the hospital. And knock on wood, everything stays on course. And hopefully down the road, we'll see Bronny back playing basketball and maybe just hooking up with his dad someday down the road in the NBA playing with LeBron. That'd be pretty good. Speaking of the James clan, Bronny's not the only kid. Bryce. Bryce made some news during the summer as well, Everyone thought he was transferring from Sierra Canyon to Campbell Hall. That didn't happen. He was at Campbell Hall for a minute.
Correct.
And now he's at Notre Dame in Sherman Oaks.
So Bryce James transfers to Campbell Hall. I don't even know if you would consider it a transfer. He was confirmed to be enrolled for the fall semester, so maybe that is a transfer, I guess. But all he did was spend a couple summer months with Campbell Hall, played in Section 7, which is a huge tournament that schools play in over the summer in Arizona, and it just did not go well. And their new coach, David Gray, just something didn't jive well. So the James camp, per se, looked elsewhere, and now they'll be at Notre Dame Sherman Oaks. And, you know, you brought it up off air. I'll let you talk about kind of the irony of it being Notre Dame.
Well, the irony of it is the fact that Notre Dame was the last team to knock out Sierra Canyon and Bronny
Correct.
James. And now the first time he comes back with his brother, Bryce is at Notre Dame, the school that knocked out Sierra Canyon. And Bryce was on the team that lost because he was riding the bench when Bronny was out there trying to make hoops against Notre Dame. What about Bryce's future as a player? He's matured. I saw him have one tremendous slam dunk against Alameda. I know Alameda wasn't great, but there are moments, there were flashes for Bryce last year.
You know, it's a little unfair, his expectations. He's not quite like Bronny. Bronny, okay, you know, in my opinion, not quite McDonald's All-American, even though that's what he got to the game. But Bronny is a very, very good basketball player. Bryce James, a little bit different. I think he's okay with being a good role player. He's about 6'6", he's long. And also when you come to high school players and length and growing, they kind of adapt those skills a little bit later. Remember, Bronny James only like 6'3", so his skills came on quicker. Bryce James, 6'6", now a junior. I think once he starts getting used to his body and building some more strength, you'll see the skills come along.
And he's going into that great Notre Dame program. Matt Sargent's a wonderful coach. They won the state championship in D1 a year ago, and they returned Mercy Miller. They're going to be very good.
Leno Mark and Zach White. Those are the other two players for Notre Dame. I don't see why they couldn't compete for another Mission League title. Of course, they'll have to compete with Harvard-Westlake.
Yeah, and Harvard-Westlake and Sierra Canyon.
Yep.
Sierra Canyon is reloading, and so is Crespi. All these teams out of the Mission League, but Crespi has done it in a little different way. They had a high-profile coach come on campus, former Laker great, and he also coached in the NBA and the WNBA. Derek Fisher is the head man of the Crespi Celts in Encino.
Very on par. I don't know, what's up with like the San Fernando Valley and like Flash and like.
Are you sure you wanted to leave the Daily News?
I tell you what,
That's
hey,
your coverage area.
I still get to cover this stuff. In fact, I broke the Bryce James news. I broke the Derek Fisher news. So best of both worlds. However, the Derek Fisher hire, I think it's a little bit of a head scratcher, right? You think to yourself, okay, you know, guy that coached in the NBA, played in the NBA, now he's coming down to the high school ranks. Is this guy really going to deal with parents? You know, I would argue, I've been around long enough, I would argue dealing with parents might be more ruthless than national media when you're a player or you're an NBA coach. I mean, parents are crazy. So I'm just very interested to see how Derek Fisher handles a whole program, let alone a program that's in the Mission League.
Well, Derek Fisher's a guy that's had great success. Obviously, as a player, NBA champion. He was a head basketball coach in both the NBA and WNBA, as I stated. And you just don't know where he wants to go in life. Maybe he wants to teach kids at the prep level. Maybe this is his passion. Maybe this is something he really wants to do. He's still, in layman's terms, a very young guy. Maybe this is his path going forward.
It's a great point. I plan on talking with him next week. I'm going to kind of crash like a fall workout, chat with him a little bit, and that very well could be the case. I would say the storyline for me as a reporter is Derek Fisher waking up in the morning, battling traffic to get on campus, right? You know, they have to give him an admin job. He's not an off-campus coach at Crespi. They don't work like that. He's on campus doing something, I don't know what it is, but, you know, he's a full-time employee there. So it'll be interesting to see Derek Fisher, you know, in the day-to-day and the high school, you know, ranks. I think that's interesting.
I think he's in the morning thinking about how am I going to stop Trent Perry of Harvard-Westlake.
Yeah, I hope he better start thinking about things like that.
Yeah, it's a tough league. There's no question about that. There's another head scratcher in basketball, then we'll move over to football. Taft's basketball team won the LA City Section Championship last year. And Derek Taylor is no longer their head coach, and all the returning players have flown the coop. They're gone.
Yeah.
What is going on in Woodland Hills at Taft?
So I don't think I can divulge too many details.
Yeah,
but
you can.
Nah,
Come on, this is our show.
I want to be careful. But basically, Derek Taylor got reprimanded. I don't think it's necessarily something that was super wrong, but too edgy, right? LA City section.
But they just won a title.
LA City section, LAUSD. You got to stay within, the proverbial bumpers of the lane, like when we're talking about bowling, right? You can't go outside that too much. Derek Taylor, if you know him, been around a long time, not afraid to speak his mind. So I think they just simply said, you know what, Derek, I think your time at Taft is over. The athletic director is gone as well, Mark Drucker. So things have they've kind of cleaned house over at Taft when it comes to boys basketball, and so have the players they've left as well.
He's had great teams over there. He's won
I think
multiple times.
4 city titles, yeah.
4 city titles. He left one title, a state title at St. John Bosco. Then he came back to Taft, re-energized the program, has done a tremendous job. It'll be interesting because I know Derek Taylor was up for different jobs this offseason. Where does he land?
I'd be curious to see if he even wants to coach anymore. If I'm Derek Taylor, I take a year off. Why not? See what opens up. I know he interviewed for the Crespi job.
I know that, yeah. That's the job I was alluding to.
Well, there was other jobs open too, so.
Yeah.
How do I know you were alluding to that one?
Well, you now know. I told you.
Oh, okay. After I said it, though.
Yeah. I follow in your footsteps all the time. You know who's coming on next?
No, I don't. Tell me.
Walt Fletcher.
Okay.
You know who he is?
Whittier Christian.
You're good.
New coach.
New coach. He's
A lot of pressure on that coach.
10
a lot
and
of pressure
5
on
a
that
year
coach
ago.
coming back from a CIF championship.
Can he handle the pressure? We're going to find out when we come back to SoCal Prep Report. The coach is next.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move. So I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
There are 16 million children struggling with hunger in America. That's 1 in 5 daughters, sons, neighbors, and classmates who don't know where their next meal is coming from. Yet billions of pounds of good food go to waste every year. It's time we do something about it. Feeding America is a nationwide network of food banks that helps provide meals to millions of kids and families in need. Visit feedingamerica.org to help them feed even more. Together, we can solve hunger. Together, we're feeding America.
The Heralds of Whittier Christian, Division 14 champions last year, got hot at the end of the year, finished up 10 and 5. Their coach Manriquez stepped down after winning a CIF championship, and Walt Fletcher, an assistant on campus, gets the job. So the big question, Coach, first and foremost, welcome. Can you handle the pressure?
Thanks for having me. No, it's we'll find out here tomorrow night.
Yeah, you go to Santa Paula, not an easy opener.
Go to Santa Paula, not an easy opener. Division 13 playoff team last year, so division above us, and long bus ride. So see how our kids handle the maturity of sitting on a bus that long and arriving mentally focused. So talked with them about that all week, but yeah, we'll find out here very quickly. Our first 3 games are all Division 13 opponents, so the test is right from the start, so excited for it.
Well, what do you think? I know you got a great running back in Martinez returning, rushed for nearly $2,000 a year ago.
Yeah.
So your thought about the team coming in, notwithstanding, I know you got a tough game and you're the underdog actually tomorrow night, but how do you feel about the club overall?
No, I'm excited. In addition to the guys we have coming back, we had a couple of multiple sport athletes that joined the team from last year, baseball kids that came back, so I think they're going to add a lot to our offense. Receiver, tight end, 2 kids there. Plus, like you said, Jake Martinez is outstanding. Had 26 touchdowns last year, is almost 2,000 yards, caught the ball out of the backfield pretty well. Starting quarterback's back, Caleb Murr, threw for almost $2,000 himself last year. So got a lot of weapons. My job is to try to distribute the ball and make sure teams can't just focus on Jake. And got a talented offensive line, 3 starters from last year. 2 juniors who last year as sophomores started all 15 games. And then, so big things to kind of see how some newcomers come in and kind of replace some of the seniors. Had a couple of key seniors graduate, both our tackles. And then our middle linebacker was kind of the heart of our defense. So definitely some holes, but there's a lot of talent and a lot to be excited about. And like I said, I got the best seat in the house tomorrow night. I get to watch these kids play, and I'm excited for it. I think they're talented, they're hungry, and said the big thing is complacency, not resting on what we did last year, and this is a new team, and let's go see what we can do.
talk a little bit about taking over a team that's already won a CAF championship. Sounds like a lot of returners. Is there a mix of blending in your own sauce because you're the head coach,
Right.
but also maybe in some aspects kind of letting the turnover happen this year?
Right.
Maybe a little even saying like getting out of the way a little bit, but also interjecting your own new philosophies.
Right.
Is there a mix to that?
There's definitely a mix. I think part of the advantage was being on staff last year. As the offensive line coach, so I was very heavily offensive involved, not so much defense. So I think it's more where kind of my style is coming in is more on the defensive side of the ball, kind of my own philosophy and kind of some tweaks there. But offensively, a lot of what we did last year is, stuff I would have run, on my own. So there's a lot of similarities there. So I think that's why I think offensively we're a little bit further ahead starting the season off just because of the returners we have coming back, plus like I said, a lot of the
continuity there.
terminology. So, but yeah, there's definitely, being my own person. Frank was a great coach, and I learned a lot and loved being a part of the staff. And again, had the champion, so the end result was positive. But at the same time, it's, message is a little bit different. But last year we were trying to take a team that I think was 2-8 the year before, turn that around 10-5. Where now it's like, okay, we're not trying to turn it around, but we're trying to keep building on what we are. And I think that's why I'm excited for the challenge early on because, my goal as a competitor, you want to play up as high as you can. You want, your games to be competitive. You don't want to run the table or, blow someone out. I mean, you don't really find out anything about yourself. So we're going to find out a lot about ourselves early on and excited by that. But yeah, there's definitely some of the things that we did very well last year and keeping that, but kind of changing some things that kind of fit my personality and, kind of help the team kind of keep growing and keep building.
Do you feel like the program has turned it around? If you look at the overall records going back a few years, they're not very good.
Right.
Then suddenly this magnificent season last year,
Right.
win 10 games, win a CIF championship, play Crenshaw in a regional bowl game. Do you feel like the program's there, that the community says, hey, Whittier Christian Herald football is for real?
There is. I think, you definitely see a lot more excitement. There's definitely a lot of feedback from alumni during the course of last season that for a few years really couldn't stomach coming to some of our games. And then all of a
By
sudden,
the way, there's number
running.
5. He's your guy, Jake Martinez.
He's talented. He's definitely blessed with ability. But, so I think the community's definitely former alumni that played football there are kind of looking back and kind of sitting there saying, I'm proud kind of that's my tradition. So there's a little bit of that. Got tremendous parent support. Parent support booster club is outstanding. So I've got a lot of support from them. But just as a school in general, I think pretty much every single athletic program, except for maybe one or two, were playoff teams last year. So, from that aspect, I mean, being, the team that we had last year with the football and the success wasn't unique to the school. So there's a lot of athletic tradition there. And, football, we want to kind of do our part. And, we're one of the early teams that kind of set the stage for this kind of athletic season. So, trying to do our part and give the team and the school and community some excitement and then keep growing. So, there's definitely a lot of positives things there.
When you talk about expectation and you talk to your kids, what exactly are the goals? Is it kind of a day by day? Is it these are the goals and we're going to work towards it? What's the philosophy on achieving goals in your program?
Yeah, the big thing is I don't want them to, obviously I want them to envision kind of a similar result we had last year.
Sure.
But you can't start off looking that far down the road. You got to kind of approach it one game at a time. I know it's cliche and, you got hear it a million times, but I mean, it's true. There's a reason why the cliche exists is, you got to take care of who's in front of you. You can't look down the road. We got a stretch of games kind of in the middle that are teams that probably, if you're looking at who we have returning, should be games that we should be able to be pretty successful at. But, if you start looking who's past them, then you set yourself up for a little speed bump and trying to avoid those. So, there's a lot that goes into, just, I said, the goals. But like I said, I mean, the end result, we want to be champions again. I mean, that's what we're pushing for. That's what the kids are working out for and, and have come on board. And I think some of the players that have played in the past that now came out this year that didn't play last year looked and say, okay, I want to be a part of that, and kind of like what we did and appreciate and understand that that's going to kind of help them with some of their other athletic endeavors. But, I mean, the goal is, trying to win our league championship, get in the playoffs, and then once you get in the playoffs, make some noise.
I want to talk about your relationship with Coach Manriquez,
Yeah.
who stepped down. How much of you is him? What was his impact on you, and what is the relationship going forward? I'm sure he's still going to be part of the program.
Absolutely, and he's someone that, like I said, he's probably one of my biggest supporters since they got the job. You know, he's been kind of blowing up my phone with, you know, just first off the congratulations, and then just every now and then I just touch base. I just wanted to let you know I'm thinking about you and praying for you. So, you know, Coach Manriquez, he brought me on last year. You know, without Coach, I'm not in this position.
Sure.
You know, so I owe a lot to him, and it was a really fun year. I think we had a lot of similar styles, especially on the offside of the ball, run the ball, grind it out, be physical. So I think we just really, really meshed well together. It really kind of did some good things. So trying to continue on some of that, you know, some tweaks that kind of fit my entire personality, but a lot of what we do is, you know, stuff that is based on that relationship and things that I was able to kind of help get accomplished with Frank last year.
My last question for you, Coach, is kind of more off the field. You know, at Whittier Christian, talk about the goal of that program and the school to witness beyond the sidelines. Are there things you're doing in the community to do that?
Right. There hasn't been really a lot of emphasis in the past, but that's something that I definitely want to bring in, community service, things like that. I'm actually trying to plan something for our bye week to do something with the team. And one of my assistant coaches is a church pastor.
There you
and
go.
we talked about doing some outreaches, and also our head of school, who's not just head of school, but he's an alumni football player. So we talked about kind of really getting more in the community, more involved, doing things like that. So that the long-term goal is we don't want to just be football players. You know, we want to have success. We want to have impact on and off the field, in the classroom. But community service is definitely something that we're trying to bring more into, and I think there's some good opportunities. I've got outstanding kids that I know will jump at the opportunity to kind of do some of these things. So just a matter of, you know, kind of finding out which ones we really want to kind of start off and go from there. And once you do one, then the second one comes down the road and stuff. But it hasn't been something we did, you know, a lot in the past, to my knowledge, but it's definitely something that, you know, it's, like I said, it's definitely a long-term goal, is kind of the community service and just the outreach and being a part of the community, not just a school that is kind of there, but really to kind of reach out and have an impact on and off.
Last question, and then we'll let you go. Big game tomorrow night, Santa Paula.
Yep.
Other than the obvious, not turning the ball over,
Right.
things of that ilk, what's it going to take to spring the upset?
Yeah, I mean, it is those things. I mean, really, it's blocking and tackling. You hear that a million times. You know, they think they graduated a lot of skill players. They had a lot of seniors last year at the receiver position, their quarterback. I think their top offensive player was a senior, but they've got a lot of their core of their offensive and defensive line back, and they've got really good size. So that's not new to us. There wasn't anyone that we played last year that we were necessarily bigger across the board one, so it's just another opponent for us. But that's going to be something our offensive and defensive lines are going to have to play very well, kind of control their offensive and defensive line, and then take care of the ball and try to create some big plays, limit their big plays. But it's going to take a team effort. You know, it starts with the offensive line. They got to block, give our quarterback time. We've got some talented players with the ball in their hands, so we got to just make sure that we're spreading the ball around and not just becoming one-dimensional. So there's a lot of small keys, but again, like I said, it's going to take a team effort. You guys going to have to play well. And
All right, the big game tomorrow night, other than yours, is Mater Dei and Corona Centennial. I'm going to put them on the spot.
Yeah.
Who do you like in the game? You're wearing red. So
I am
think
wearing
that-
red, but I mean, I just don't see how you can go against Mater Dei right
Sure.
now. I mean, it's just where they are, what they've been the last few years, and their history. I know they got the coaching change, so I guess if there is an opportunity to get an upset, this would be it. You know, I'm experienced myself. I mean, it's kind of a little bit of chemistry and culture, but it's hard to go against Mater Dei right now and what they're doing.
Thanks for coming in.
My pleasure. Thanks to you for having me.
Of course, of course.
that's
Good
the
luck
coach.
tomorrow night.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thank
it's
you.
fantastic.
Coach Walt, Fletcher. All right, we're going to step out again. When we come back, we're going to have some football notes a little later in the program. We'll have Jim Rose of Birmingham and Jessica Rose, the great young quarterback who can throw the football. She's also a terrific shortstop for her dad. How many sports does Jim Rose coach at Birmingham?
3.
We'll find out. Well, 3 for now, maybe more. Who knows? All right, we'll step out. We'll have more right after this on SoCal Prep Report. Stay with us.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move, so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
Man, it's lonely. Like, going through life lonely.
There is the therapeutic aspect of music, just expressing how you feel. I'm going to talk to Howie about his feelings, make it into a song.
That was fun getting to know the new head football coach at Whittier Christian, Walt Fletcher. I like the guy. We liked Frank last year, Rodriguez, and they followed up with another good hire.
Good opportunity for him tomorrow night to start off with a win. I just think it's very, very crucial. Anytime you have a new coach, right, they're looking for, okay, did we make the right hire? And it could be a victim of the moment if they fall short tomorrow night, but he's got a good team, and I know that team's in good hands.
All right, let's take a look at our top 10, our SoCal Prep Report top 10 to begin the year. And no surprise who number one is here. It's Mater Dei, although I think they got a real tough environment to go in tomorrow night against Corona Centennial. But as we look at the poll, the usual suspects, St. John Bosco, Corona Centennial, Sierra Canyon, Mission Viejo. Let's start with those front five. What sticks out? No real surprises.
No real surprises. However, I know people always think, oh, well, Tarek, you're like the Sierra Canyon beat reporter because they're in my neck of the woods. But I tell you what, Sierra Canyon, this is the year it's Division I or bust. I'm telling you, John Ellinghouse would go on the record. They have ramped things up. They've got more talent. They've got more beef up front. They've been knocking on the door to be a Division I playoff team for years. I think the last 3 or 4 years, they've won 2 Division II titles. So they're right there. Look for Sierra Canyon to be a Division I playoff team this year.
Obviously, Mater Dei's got Elijah Brown, who's 29-1 as their starting quarterback.
Correct.
I love the running back Cameron Jones at St. John Bosco. Centennial, I know you talk with Matt Logan. He feels like this team is great and sitting in a really good spot tomorrow night to knock off the Monarchs.
He told me yesterday it's his best offensive team he's ever had. And the offense, that high-paced offense that he runs, he literally said, that's my baby. So he's got something he's really confident in, and he's got a new quarterback from Inglewood named Hassan Longstreet. And we're talking about one of the best quarterbacks in the country as a junior. So he said he's got a lot of great arm talent. He threw for 3,900 yards last year, 40 touchdowns. Now, I was at Inglewood, and the competition was a little different, but he can play. So if there's a chance for someone to knock off Mater Dei, it is tomorrow night, and it could be Corona Centennial. Week 0, Randy, sometimes these coaches don't even know what their own teams are capable of or not capable of till you go out there and play a game. And Mater Dei's got a new coach in Frank McManus. I can't imagine there's too many holes in a team like that, but hey, if there's a vulnerability, maybe it's tomorrow night.
They also have a great running back at Centennial and Cornell Hatcher.
Correct.
And Matt Logan just has said, wait, this guy's really come on. I got an experienced offensive line, and the way Hatcher's running the football in practice gives us not only the passing of Longstreet, but they also have the ability to run it with Fletcher.
The biggest question mark for Corona Centennial is going to be their defense. They're young up front. So can they put pressure on Elijah Brown, the quarterback from Mater Dei who's going to Stanford? There's talent everywhere for that Mater Dei team on both sides of the ball. Can Corona Centennial slow them down?
All right, second 5, we have Sarah from Gardena. They have a tremendous offensive attack. They always have great athletes. Long Beach Poly has Darius Curry, the quarterback, and we're going to talk about a few of these quarterbacks in a moment. Orange Lutheran, a veteran club. I know you like Oaks Christian and Santa Margarita, another team out of the Trinity League. How many Trinity League teams we got up there? Mater Dei, Bosco, Orange Lutheran, and Santa Margarita. So 4 of the 10.
Correct. Almost half the field, right?
Right.
Yeah, Orange Lutheran has a quarterback named TJ Lateef, really good player. Long Beach Poly, you said Darius Curry, probably one of the better returning quarterbacks outside of Elijah Brown in all of SoCal. Really, really talented. Sarah Gardena has a quarterback named Jimmy Butler, and I'm not talking about the NFL NBA player, excuse me. He'll be a junior. He was a starting quarterback as a sophomore. They've got weapons, so really, really fun football, to be played in Southern California this year.
Okay, so we talked about the quarterbacks. We listed 5. We could have gone a lot deeper than that. There's so many good quarterbacks, and it starts with Elijah Brown because he's been the ultimate winner at modern day. There's our list. There's Longstreet with the arm talent. We got to talk about Brady Smigel, who is phenomenal going into his 10th grade year, threw for 46 touchdowns last year. Becker at Sierra Canyon and the aforementioned Curry. All right, talk a little bit about those guys.
Yeah, again, I'll talk about the 2 that we really haven't touched on, and that's Brady Smigel. I think Brady Smigel could be like the #1 quarterback in the country when he's a senior. It wouldn't surprise me because he's a little bit older. Maybe he reclassifies. He's one of those kids, graduates early and goes to Alabama or Oklahoma or something. He's that kind of caliber player. Then there's Wyatt Becker, transferred from Notre Dame to Sierra Canyon. He'll be a junior, and I think Wyatt Becker is that missing piece Sierra Canyon's not had for a handful of years, half a dozen years, is great skill players, great defense, and they win CIF titles, but that next level to Division I, they haven't had that high-level Division I arm at quarterback, and Wyatt Becker gives that to them.
I want to go back to Brady Smigel. I had an opportunity to talk with him earlier in the week and see him, and he's physically a big kid. He's put on some weight. Looks like he's been in the weight room. 6'4", couple bills, at least 200, 210 pounds.
For sure.
We know he's got a gun. His dad's the head coach. He has 21 or 22 offers, including Notre Dame already. Smigel's the real deal.
I do think he's the real deal. And like I said, I think he can end up being like the #1 quarterback in the country if he sticks around to be a senior. That's why I'm saying he's so good, it wouldn't surprise me if he ended up going to the next level.
I liked his humility. In talking to him, he had 11 interceptions last year, and I talked to him about that, and he took full responsibility and said there were areas of the game that he really needed improvement on, learning about the defenses and finding the openings, and he really opened up about, hey, yeah, I got to improve. And I like that for a kid who was all-state and threw 46 touchdowns.
Well, I think has a lot to do with his dad. Joe Smigel, if I'm not mistaken, is the head coach there, and his dad. And I think he just kind of keeps him humbled. Like, hey, man, you really haven't accomplished much. Okay, you had a great freshman year. Well, can you do better? Can you take this team to win a CIF title? Can this team win a league title? Let's start doing stuff for the team.
And he gets his brother back, Bo Smigel, who's a wide receiver. He was hurt last year. He returns. All right, everybody seems to be returning at Birmingham High School, where Jim Rose is the head football coach. They've won the last 3 city titles. It's taken them 4 years because of the COVID thing, and they didn't have playoffs. But we have the Rose family with us tonight, Jim and Jessica. Great to have both of you on. Coach, how are you tonight?
Pretty good, Randy. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Tell us about that young lady to your right.
What would you like to know? I know her pretty good.
I would hope so. She seems like a delightful young lady. I know you want to play her on the boys' team, and she's on the roster, but she's also your quarterback on the flag football team. So tell us about her talents.
We've talked about it and played with her for a couple of years, and her going to travel ball tournaments and stuff has kind of put a chink in that. But now having girls flag football, she gets an opportunity to be the QB, which is kind of fun since I have all girls. I finally get my quarterback.
Jessica, I was asking your dad a couple nights ago, we were chit-chatting, and I want to know, did you end up being kind of like a recruiter, so to speak, for the flag football team? Your friends, your peers finding out, hey, I'm going to play, and let's just go play together. So did you end up getting some more girls coming out because you were playing?
Oh, absolutely. I'd say our team is a softball team.
Okay, and tell me, and to follow up, how is that an advantage when all these girls are mostly girls or have played softball with? How is that an advantage for flag football?
I would just say we have a great connection, especially being on the softball field during the spring season and just rolling it over for the first year of flag football. I think it'll be a great thing.
Coach Rose, you've won all these championships in the city section. You have a 34-game winning streak against city competition. It goes back, I think, to 2017. Do you guys think about the fact that this is building up? You haven't lost in so many years to it as a city section team. Your thoughts on that long winning streak against your local competition?
I think now it is because you guys talk about it more. And so we have to talk about it a little bit. And this year's team, it's kind of on them. They get to the point where they don't want to be the team that breaks the streak. So it's a good thing. But the bullseye has been on our back for a while. But I would say this year probably more so than ever, because it seems like a lot of teams are starting to improve a little more.
We know about Peyton Waters, your great football player and flag football coach, apparently, because he's assisting with the flag football team. And I'll ask Jessica about that in a moment. We know Peyton's great, but what makes this team so good? Everyone says Birmingham is unbeatable in the city section. At least the media says that. I know you probably don't believe that.
I'd like to believe that. Then I wouldn't have to work so many hours. But, we're still at practice every day. That's a tough one. I would say, on paper, we have almost the whole team back. So should we be better? Yes. But, the game's not played on paper, so that's what worries me. But we do have a lot of veterans. We have talented kids at quarterback. We have a 3-year starter. Our sophomore running back ran for 700 yards as a freshman, Ronell Hewitt. We got some guys. We're bigger, faster, and stronger than we were a year ago.
Jessica, this is kind of a two-part question for both of you, but I want to ask it to Jessica first. What has been maybe the biggest challenge of learning the girls' flag football game? What to you is most difficult when you're comprehending that stuff?
I definitely say it's safer than real football, so that's kind of harder. You got to be careful on who you're bumping into, but my greatest challenge is just throwing the ball. Because I play softball year-round, every now and then I chuck it into the grass.
Jim, talk about coaching flag football and how different it is from regular football. And I think we talked the other night, you're like, hey man, sometimes employing more of a simple system might actually be better than trying to throw in all these plays.
A simple system, can we throw and catch? That is about as simple as we want to make it. The whole thing is it's a new experience, but coaching the girls, since I've had most of them, they listen pretty well, or they know they might get in trouble a little bit. But we do have a couple girls that want to keep adding. We got a girl out today, and there might be a couple additions because it does seem like the sport, girls are hearing about it through the media and everything, and we might get a couple, sneakers out there.
Is it tough for you, Jim, to coach both the boys and the girls? I know you want to be with your daughter. You want to have her on both teams, and she's obviously playing on both, so that's your interest. But how difficult is it for you to, pen to paper, get it done for both the boys and the girls' football teams?
Yeah, the only tricky part is when we start playing games, time-wise, but, during the regular school day, the girls are done at 4. We start football after 4 o'clock during the week, so it hasn't factored in at all. Most of our games are going to be on Thursdays. That's usually a walkthrough day, so it hasn't really been a problem when it's come to sharing time. There's no sharing. It hasn't affected us at all.
Randy seems to think that I'm sorry. Is Jessica on the football team for real? Because Randy's like, oh, she's there every day at practice. She's going to play quarterback. I'm like, there's no way Jim would ever let that happen. I'm being serious. How frequently are you at football practice, Jessica? And are you really on the team?
Oh, I'm on the roster. You can go check Max Prep.
Okay, that's a different question. That's the answer. You're going to be a great politician. She said she's on the roster, but are you at practice? She gave you the answer. That's not the. No, are you at practice every day in pads, in hitting drills?
Well, I'll definitely get my 10 days in if I am going to play.
She's good. She
good.
She knows the rules, too. I love it. That's
Speaking
awesome.
of the rules.
I will say if she does throw a pass, you guys should probably figure out who she's going to throw it to.
What, you playing? Is there any more Roses out there or what? I don't.
No,
I
that
don't,
would probably be Peyton Waters.
Yeah, he's saying he's only.
you're talking about. You see, I'm confused. I thought you were talking about the flag football team. On the varsity, it would be Peyton Waters. Okay, on the boys team. So that gets me to Peyton Waters. Is he really helping out your star football player coaching the girls?
Well, I didn't let him come out there today because it was too hot, and I didn't want him, to get tired for tomorrow's game. But he's going to be out there and help. I mean, just with catching drills and things like that. Is he going to, be the offensive coordinator? Probably not. But I mean, he's such an academic kid. He has a free period.
Perfect.
You got Royal tomorrow night, is that it?
That is it.
Well, they beat you last year, which kind of surprised me. You don't lose to city section teams, but you have lost to southern section squads. Is that going to change starting tomorrow night?
I hope so. Yeah, our track record has not been real good lately against the southern section schools. But, I mean, we do that for a reason, and it usually makes us better. But this team should be better prepared than we've been, just because all the senior leadership and the guys coming back.
Jim, settle a quick question we were talking about off air. How long have you been at Birmingham, and how long have you been the head coach at Birmingham?
Oh, I think I've been there since 2000. I think this is my 13th year as a head football coach.
There you go.
Sounds about right.
23 or 4 as a softball coach. So
I got a
been there
very
a long time.
long time with great success. You've won 3 city football titles in a row, probably a 4th this year. I got a tough question for Jessica, though.
Okay.
Your softball and football coach, same guy, is your father. Is he a better coach or a better dad?
Ooh.
Oh. Well, he's my dad.
I put you on the spot. So
he's great at both.
He's great at both. Okay. She is in politics.
I'm telling you.
Well, Jessica, I mean, talk about your love for softball, because I know you're very good and you had a very successful year there last year. Didn't quite win the Open Division Championship, but you had a great year. We've emphasized, the flag football a little bit, but I know you've had a very productive softball career at shortstop. Tell us a little bit about Jessica Rose, the softball player.
Well, I would say I didn't choose softball. Softball chose me. I was thrown into it at a very young age, and I just fell in love with it. I plan to go to college for it and hopefully in the future become a coach just like my dad.
Well, if this was Monday night, we'd give you guys a rose. No, that's a different show. But the Rose family is very good. We really appreciate it. Jim, continued success. Jessica, have fun. I hope you're the starting quarterback tomorrow night against Royal. That would really throw off Tarek Fatal.
I'll take the under on that one.
Yeah.
Have a good one, guys.
Take care.
Take care.
Bye.
I love that family.
Jim Rose, man, been around a long time. There's nothing that guy hasn't seen, man.
Well,
I called him late at like 8:30, like Tuesday night, Wednesday night.
That's
I'm like,
late for you?
Well, I mean, it's late to make business calls. Hey, coach, what's up at 9 o'clock at night? Jim answers like on the first ring.
Right.
It's like, what's up, man? And I'm just like, dude, what's going on with the city? Tell me. I don't know, what teams are good out there. I just had a baby. I haven't been able to get out to practice. So we hashed out some of those good teams.
Enough with the baby.
I'm just saying that's how cool he
Bree
is.
did all the work.
Ain't that the truth?
Okay, let's give her
That
credit.
is fact.
Okay. All right, speaking of who's good, let's find out. Let's take a look at, we have a city top 10 for you. And guess who's number 1? It's Birmingham. Why not? They're the 3-time champs. All their kids are coming back. So we have Birmingham ranked number 1. Garfield, who was beaten badly by Birmingham in the finals last year, has 2 Damians back, Cabrera
Correct.
and Cornejo, the quarterback and running back. San Pedro, a perennial power. Granada Hills has another Stanley. This is Darrell Stanley. He's tremendous. Franklin has a quarterback in Cuevas who can really sling it. So give us a little backdrop, a little more depth on that top 5.
I really actually think you nailed it. I think Birmingham is, of course, the team to beat. Garfield returns, just like Jim said, hey, most of our team returns. Garfield has the same thing. Franklin is a team that I think has a chance to jump up there. They play Granada tomorrow night. And that's what happens in the city section. A lot of these schedules are built to where at the end of the year, the section committee looks at head-to-head and goes, oh, this team beat that team and that team beat this team. And that ends up being the difference between being an open division team or a Division I team. Granada Hills last year in their non-league schedule played Eagle Rock. It was their only open division caliber opponent. They lost. When the committee looks at that game and the result, does this team deserve to be in the open? Well, they only played one other open division team and lost. So no, they got to go to Division I. So these early on games, week 0, week 1, I know it's early, but they could have playoff implications.
Yeah, but Granada Hills nearly beat Birmingham last year.
Yes,
it was
they
a
did.
one-point game.
Yes, they did.
The other team that gave Birmingham a real challenge in the playoffs last year was Venice.
Yes.
And they're in our second 5 as we take a look at the next 5 in this top 10 in the LA City section. And again, we know Birmingham's the prohibitive favorite. But that second 5 with Venice, the gondoliers in there, they're always dangerous. Gasca has tremendous talent every year.
Yeah, I think, it's kind of, I wouldn't call it the usual suspects. So usually in the city section, there's 8 teams for the open, and I'd say there's maybe 10 or 11 teams going for those 8 spots. And it just depends on who's playing good football, and you hope there's some you hope there's good parity when it comes to those spots. And sometimes it doesn't work out. Sometimes you get teams that blow other teams out, so you end up, it kind of sorts itself out. But hopefully we'll see some good games this year.
And I know we had Eagle Rock up there in our top 10, and I don't know much about their team, but I know Andy Moran is a tremendous coach.
Great coach.
And year in and year out, they get a lot of stuff done. Carson's improved. Cleveland has tremendous skilled positions led by Corey Hall and Donovan Powell.
That's right.
Cleveland's really, really good. There's our top 10, so we'll move on from that and talk about some of the great games. We're privileged in the last few minutes to talk about some of the great games that are going to be played this year in prep football, starting in season debut tomorrow in 0 week with Mater Dei and Corona Centennial. All right, let's quickly break it down. Who do you like?
Man, you're putting me on the spot.
I always put you on the spot.
I think you got to just say Mater Dei. They're just too talented, but maybe Corona Centennial has a puncher's chance.
I think they have more than a puncher's chance. I think it's a picket game. I really do. I think this is a really dangerous game.
Picket? It's not a picket game. I would say it's like Mater Dei. I'm not going to give a line, but like Mater Dei, like a touchdown and a half, 2 touchdowns.
Well, for a number 1 team in the country, that's competitive.
I'm not saying, I never said it wouldn't be competitive, but you said picket.
I think it's a dangerous game.
Okay.
If they were using the word, you'd use trap game again, but it's not a trap game because it's an opener.
Correct. But like we alluded to, Frank McManus, it's his first game. He's got to have a little bit of jitters, a little bit of pressure. And you just never know. You never know.
I think we got Jay Sarah and Sierra Canyon tomorrow as well. That'll be good.
That's another one. Mission League versus Trinity League. I think Sierra Canyon went down to Jay Sarah last year and lost. Sierra Canyon started 1-3, 2-4 last year, and then made their way to the Division II championship and beat Inglewood in the Division II final. So again, that's a team now with a better quarterback in Wyatt Becker. Sierra Canyon. I tell you this much, that's a great litmus test for Sierra Canyon. Like I just got done talking about maybe 15 minutes ago, how Sierra Canyon's trying to make that leap to Division I, and it's like, not that they're trying, they have to do it. And so beating Jerry Sarah out the gates would be a good way to show the Southern section, hey, well, we're here.
Now this is 0 week. Next week's week 1, and there's going to be a couple of really good games again. Sierra Canyon at Oaks Christian. There's Sierra Canyon again. Dangerous game. OC's good.
Yes. Oaks Christian, super talented. They got a quarterback that's going to Baylor named Nate Bennett. They have a wide receiver going to Stanford named Chase Farrell. The wide receiver on the other side is Justice Williams. He's going to Washington. And then one of the top edge rushers in the country, who's only a junior, his name's Hayden Lowe. We're talking about like Kayvon Thibodeau good, potentially.
Wow.
That's how good he is. So he's got USC on him and all those SEC schools. Oaks Christian's no joke.
Either is Bishop Gorman from Nevada.
Of course.
They're going to be at Long Beach Poly next week. That's just a terrific matchup. Poly's already at a 60-point game. They went to Hawaii and knocked off one of the Hawaiian teams and scored 60 in the process. So that should be good. Then we move ahead to the following week. We have week 2, Mission Viejo, again with Long Beach Poly. And I like the fact that Poly's challenging itself. If I recall, didn't Poly knock them off last year?
Yeah, I think you're right. The reason why Long Beach Poly does that,
because they wipe out the
Moore
League every
League,
year.
We're talking like running clock the last 2 quarters. So they ramp it up because their only chance of being in the Division I playoffs, which is only 8 teams, is by putting together a non-league schedule that shows that they belong. Because the Moore League doesn't do anything good for them.
Chaminade and Jay Sarah should be a good football game.
Oh, is that a week 2 game?
Yeah, it's a week 2 game.
So if you remember correctly, Jay Sarah came to Chaminade last year and was up like 21-0. Remember, does this ring a bell? Javance Johnson goes out hurt. They bring in Seth Shigg. Does that ring a bell?
No.
He brings them back. They win like 32-33 at the buzzer, do a field goal. That doesn't ring a bell to you?
No, I forget.
Oh,
it was
crazy.
a long summer. It took a lot of trips. All right, in week 3, we got Polly at Gardena Sarah. That's a great matchup. We have Damien at Miracosta and Belmont and Marshall. Now, Belmont and Marshall's interesting in the city because it's the 100th year for Belmont football.
Wow. Is there a lot of good history there?
No,
I don't know enough
not
about.
particularly.
Okay, but it's just 100 years.
It's 100 years. Marshall, they've had some decent teams, but it's a great rivalry type of game. So it'll be a fun game, and the fact that it's been 100 years in the making for Belmont is really good. All right?
Randy, did you ever do any improv classes?
I should.
No, seriously. Did you
I'm
ever
doing
do any
some improv right now with all the material when we do an hour.
Do you know what the number 1 rule in improv is? Seriously.
What?
Say yes to everything.
I say yes to everything.
No, not when I just brought up Chaminade Jay Sarah.
I didn't remember it. It was a long summer.
That's my point.
2
So
cruises.
improv,
I did
you
2
say,
cruises.
oh yes, you're right.
Let's talk about some TV coverage. Bally's is back covering the southern section.
Never did improv.
But I never heard of improv. But
Go
it's kind
ahead,
of an odd deal. Our friend Tony Moskal is
Yep.
going to be part of the broadcast team, and they're going to be doing the modern day game tomorrow night. A little bit different structure, though. A 6-year deal. NFHS is involved.
It's not so much a different structure as much as it's the sign of the times, Randy. Unfortunately, and look, Randy, I know you just turned 47 this year. You're
close.
You're on the older side, but not too old. My point is, and you'll understand this. Less people are watching television.
Well, and there's so many more options. There's so many channels. They're watching here, though, at LA 36.
Do you see what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
the truth. Less people are watching television. That's the facts. So less games are on television and more are on streaming platforms and streaming devices. So NFHS is now carrying as many games as possible, but now there's only 1 game every week on TV. That's it. And that's what we're getting with Bally's. Bally's is carrying the game on TV.
Yeah, but Bally's really isn't producing the game. They're just taking
correct.
the game.
They're just broadcasting.
That's the biggest
Correct.
difference. In the past,
Correct.
we've seen these stations and networks pay for the broadcast. Now it's independently done. NFHS has stepped forward. They've been this streaming group that's handled all the games for years, and they've taken the whole package over, and they're producing it, and they're putting their main game on Bally's. And by the way, that reminds us, we're going to have a game here tomorrow. We have Los Alamitos at Western. We're going to stream the game.
Nice.
So you can see it live, and it'll be on LA 36 tape delayed. Rich Estrella is going to call the play-by-play along with Bob Gibson, our friends. So they do a sports show here on Wednesday nights, and we invite you to watch that every Wednesday at 7. They're at different places, and they have a lot of different high school teams come in, and you meet a lot of the players, and Rich and Bob do a nice job on that. But they're going to have the game tomorrow night, Los Alamitos at Western.
Los Alamitos' Los Alamitos' new quarterback. Remember who it is? Come on, improv. You're supposed to say, no, I'm kidding. Alonzo Esparza. He was the quarterback at Sierra Canyon.
He was.
So now he's going to be He's going to be the quarterback at Los Alamitos. They got a new quarterback. Remember who the quarterback was at Los Alamitos last year?
Yeah, he's now at USC.
There you go, Malachi Nelson.
Yep.
So new change there for that program. So we'll see.
Malachi is a great player, and he's starting to really come on at USC, but that's another story.
He might not see the field for a little bit.
What's that
There we
say?
go. There's a
High
little
school game of
promo.
the week. I
Yeah,
like
there we
that.
look at that.
We
Wow.
didn't even know that was coming up.
Los Alamitos at Western. I don't know a lot about Western. However, Los Alamitos is I know we had that top 10. Los Alamitos is like in that next 5
But I've
right
heard
there.
some of Los Alamitos players may not suit up tomorrow night. So I think
Maybe not eligible or something.
Some things are going on there where that game could get real dicey at Western for them. But
okay, I
They should
see.
win it on paper.
Oh, maybe
but
Western's going to win.
They might.
Tune in and find out.
That's right.
See?
We're
Improv.
streaming the
See,
game.
You go with everything.
That's it. Yeah, I got to learn those things. Improv. You said improv, right?
You know what improv is?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just making sure.
Improv, right?
See, you're learning quickly.
You ad-lib a lot when you improv. El Camino Real football is coming back to LA 36. We're going to have 4 football games of the Royals this year, starting a week from Saturday night, a 5 o'clock game at Birmingham against Heritage Christian.
Okay, the real storyline there with El Camino Real is, Randy, they don't have a field.
I know that.
I know. I'm just saying.
They haven't even started to fix the field yet.
Thank you. Here we go. Now Randy's catching on. So, yes, El Camino Real, great story. Good football coach. We love Jason Sabala.
He'll be on this show next week.
Oh, man. Jason's one of the best. But the biggest challenge for him, I don't think they've played a true home football game since 2021.
That's true.
I mean, talk about navigating that. I think they're practicing in the outfield of the baseball field.
That is correct.
That's getting chopped up. So it's tough sledding for ECR trying to find games to play other people at home, quote unquote. And it's the games at Birmingham.
Yeah, that one's at Birmingham.
There you go.
We don't know where the Chatsworth game is. Maybe it'll be at Chatsworth, even though it'll be their home game. That'll be on the 29th. On 10-6, we have Taft and El Camino, and then at 10-20, the game at Granada Hills. There it is. There's the schedule.
Okay, cool. El Camino Real.
Got a great player,
Jake Shirley. Oh,
yeah,
man, yeah. Good player, big kid, tight end, plays DN. Good player.
Had a bad shoulder, told me he's healthy, 100%.
Oh, good. Yeah, so kind of a player to watch for ECR.
Yeah, I think he's really good. He took a hard spill last year and really wrecked his shoulder, but he's doing well. So it's good to see Jake back, and we'll have those 4 football games for you. All right, let's mention the downfall of print media.
Oh, God.
I know you've kind of veered away.
I mean, that's yeah, I mean,
go ahead. How does it affect?
You nailed it. No, it's
how does it affect prep sports? That's your arena.
No.
Hey, I'm giving you a softball.
Oh, hey, man, thanks. I would say, look, Los Angeles Daily News is a daily paper, right? And everything I write goes in that paper. However, now I'm with SB Live, and it is a more modern digital way to produce content and news, because nowadays the way content and news is consumed is much different than 30, 40 years ago and even further back when it was all about the newspaper and, of course, TV. So now everyone's on their phones. So my content is directly to you on your phone, where the Daily News, yeah, okay, they still have a digital presence, but there's such a focal point and emphasis on that print piece of content. And that makes things challenging because there's less people to produce that paper now, which is why the LA Times doesn't even put game stories in their sports section, Randy. That's a big deal for a newspaper.
It used to be you get the rundown, like a box score on every game.
Pages of stuff.
Yeah, those days are over. I'll tell you another promo for LA 36. We are going to have the flag football LA City Section Championships in November. Cool. Is everything at Birmingham? Those games are going to be at Birmingham as well. We're looking forward to that. That's going to be great at the time. So we will have the 2 final games. There's 2 divisions in city football in flag. There is no CIF Southern Section Championships this year, just the leagues. 54 schools competing in 2 different divisions in the city. Southern Section has 114. Quick note on volleyball. My top 5 here, just wrote them down.
Sure.
Miracosta, Mater Dei, Huntington Beach, Sierra Canyon, and Marymount appear to be the top 5.
Yep, usual suspects. It's not that different from high school football. There's just always kind of your blue bloods, so to speak, at the top. Every once in a while, you'll get a team that kind of has a generational team that can mix it up, but for the most part, you can't go wrong. Miracosta and what was the other one? Not Mater Dei. Miracosta and...
Yeah, I had Mater Dei in there.
Oh, is that 1 and 2?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Those are the... I think Redondo Union
Huntington
usually...
Beach I had in there.
Redondo Union usually has a good
That's
team.
True.
I think Redondo Miracosta is always a really good rivalry, if I'm not
Sierra
mistaken.
Canyon was a championship
Very
team
good,
last
yeah.
year.
But they lost Olivia Babcock, so they'll be down a little bit.
She's at Pitt.
Oh, man, so good. Such a good player.
We go.
Sure.
Time for one quick football game.
Okay.
Not Corona Centennial, Mater Dei. In the city section, who do you like, Granada Hills at Franklin?
I'm going to, man, you know what?
I put you on the spot.
Yeah, no, I think I'm going to go Franklin in that game. I'm going to go Franklin. I think that would be a slight shocker.
Not really. Cuevas can really toss the football.
I agree. But in the city,
they went 10-0 in the regular season last year, Franklin.
I feel like in the city, teams struggle with speed, and Darrell Stanley is going to be the fastest kid. Darrell.
It's Darrell.
How do you spell it?
It's spelled like Darrell, but it is Darrell.
Okay, I saw Eric Sonheimer spell it Durrell.
Bad typo. At the media day, he was introduced as Darrell. I didn't know that either.
Okay, that's fair. Okay.
Really?
I didn't know. I wasn't there.
I got you on one.
Hey, man. Hey, no, you're not. See, I'm improv. I'm going
But
with
you go with it.
You go with it.
You're going to
Darrell Stanley.
So from here, you're going right out to Centennial for the game. It's a long drive, you know.
I got to bring my sleeping bag.
All right.
I'll probably leave it around noon from the Valley tomorrow. Maybe 1 o'clock at the... No, probably noon. Get there for like 1:30.
He likes Mater Day. I'm not so sure.
Pick one.
Centennial.
Wow.
Congratulations on the baby.
Thank you.
It's great news.
Thank you.
Healthy baby. Isla.
That's right.
What, 21 inches, 8 pounds?
Wow, look at you. You listen.
That's
21 and a
stats.
half.
I got to go. The show's over. We're done.
Okay.
We'll talk about Isla next week. We'll talk a lot of football as well. Hope you enjoyed the hour special. For Tarek, I'm Randy, and our entire crew here.
See you next week.
Next week, SoCal Prep Report. Isla, what an
21 and a
odd
half
name.
inches, 8 pounds, 2 ounces.
I like the name, but it's a little unusual, don't you think?
Hey, isn't Tarek?
Yes, you make up that's a good improv.
See?
I
You
saw
go
how
with
you did.
Your hair's on fire.
It is. I know.